All right, everybody, welcome back to Aligning with Success. I forget what call this is. Anybody have an idea?
It's the end of an era.
It's the end of an era. It's the second last call of the year. I do
Yeah.
believe we have a call next Monday. And in between now and then, of course, there's going to be a lot of eating and celebrating.
And there will be no calls on Thursdays, both the Christmas and New Year's.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
Fantastic. All right. Well, I hope you all had a wonderful year, or you feel you did. I think we've made a lot of connections. We've had an opportunity to really dig into the mechanics of the business and the nuances as you've all had a process of discovery, awareness, but most importantly, an acknowledgement of a shift toward the business, of attracting people on the merits of the business. And Jeannie, you're the last person I think I had some interaction on this with you approaching people on the idea of the business. Was it you? I think we had a little bit of an interchange on text. Correct me if I'm wrong, but have you had that kind of a invitation to the business opportunity happen recently?
Not recently, no.
Okay, who has?
Yeah. Was it Lynn?
Was it Lynn? Maybe it was. Somebody did. Somebody connected with me on this. I'm trying to remember who now.
Directly with you, Michael? What? I'm not sure about your question. Doesn't.
Okay, did you have an interaction recently inviting somebody to look at Niken from the business point of view?
Yeah, about a month ago.
Okay, that's too long ago. Anybody have something more recent
Yeah.
than a month ago? Okay, nobody's reacting. Well, that's why we're 20 people on the call. Dave, or that's 16 people on the call. All right,
I think Michelle did Michael.
Michelle
Yeah,
Kowalczyk?
yeah. I
She
think,
definitely did because she had a new executive.
right. And you were
Um,
talking with him and his wife, I think.
yes, and she also went gold. So I know there was a few things that happened that month. She was the number one PGV in Canada, probably in North America, up and around 13 or 14,000 points, I think it was. Oh no, it had to be more than that since she
Had
did
to be
gold.
at least 15, yeah.
Right, right. Had to be at least 15,000. Correction. Yeah. And I asked her, it's next week she's going to be on. That's right. I invited her to speak on that next week so I can interview her next week. So if you want to know the play-by-play of her approach to and move through to gold this past month, be on next week. I thought that would be a good bit of insight for everybody. Yes,
Yes.
Paula.
Um, I sponsored somebody this month, and they went to executive. He's 84 years old. He was a consultant 30 years ago, and he told me he was not interested in doing the business, but he wanted to buy wholesale. So the first week he was on board, he gave me a referral for his physiotherapist who is very interested. The second week, he gave me the name of the lady who cuts his hair, who's got feet and leg problems, and she's interested. And then this week, I got a text about his wife being involved in a couple of committees at church, and there's another lady there that is very interested. So, for somebody who's 84 years old and not doing the business and only being in for less than a month, I've already got three referrals from him, so that's pretty good.
Not bad at all. We call that, by the way, a connector.
Hmm.
So he doesn't want to be in the business, but he's connecting you to people.
Well, that's
So,
what I told him. I said, if you have anybody that you think would be interested, I said, I'll do all the work. And after the second referral, I said, if these two ladies are interested, do you want me to sign them up under you? He goes, that would be nice.
that's creating vested interest, Paula. That's all.
Yeah, I know.
Dave can talk to you about that. That's great. That's great. Well, you know what? He's a baby boomer. at 84. Let's see. Yeah, he's a baby boomer at 84. And so he's the early of the boomers. I'm the last of them. So yeah, why the heck not? We still have we only tapped I don't know, 1.3% or 1.4% of the baby boom market. Not a lot. So
And he's 84 because he's used the Nikan products all along the way
maybe Sue.
and still interested.
Okay, well, listen, hey, I don't have a whole lot to go over this evening. We know we got double PV on Monday and Tuesday, tonight and tomorrow. We also have double PV next Monday and Tuesday. Of course, that's going to be most useful to somebody who is trying to rank advance. However, keeping in mind that you probably have some prospects that might benefit from, or people on your team that might benefit from the double PV in terms of a rank advancement. So leave no stone unturned is my rule of thumb on that. Dave, you got anything?
I was just thinking it's that time of year where two strategies would come to mind. The first is the year end and the ability to write off a lot of expenses because it's tax time. Some of my best months in my career in Nikan have been the last month of the year. And it's also a time where a lot of people are reflecting on how they did or did not do well in the previous year and are starting to think and looking forward to, the idea of, making some kind of resolution going into 2026. Well, we know most people who do resolutions don't do well with them because they're doing them by themselves or not doing them with somebody else, and we offer the opportunity for them to do it with us. So for me, the idea of now, between now and New Year, when we do the event on the 5th, the idea would be to prospect. Be, good wishes, happy Christmas, happy holidays, how are you? How are things going? Get into that social chit chat and look for the signs that, this could be something that you move forward with down the road as a potential prospect or somebody that could be interested. And again, one of the things that I did in the last week's training that I posted on the weekend, because we didn't have a call, but I posted it, was the idea that the more knowledge you have in your repertoire, the better your ability to answer people's questions, but more importantly, to ask people questions. Because sometimes people are afraid to ask questions because they don't know what to do with it. They don't know how to think about it. They don't know which way to take it. They don't know what to say. They don't know how to answer the question. And again, if we truly look at this in the rock bottom sense of what we do, it's all based on communication. We talk to people, we ask them questions, we find out what problems are, and the people that want to solve their problems gravitate to what we do, whether it's product or business. And I know I've had some people that have, listened to what I've had to say and you get kind of a mixed feeling about the emotion and philosophy of Nikan versus the practicality and the business aspect. And what I've observed over the years was that one grows on the other, but the true business builder was that guy that really had that need, and his influence was what caused the growth to create the teams, to create the synergy. And Michael, you brought this up, I think maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, the guy in Paris, the guy in France in the cosmetic company who's, brought in all these people. He had the charisma and the character and the chutzpah and all the glorification that you can add to it. And what I observed in watching all the people that went Royal Diamond or built this business, the mainstay was they were the same kind of a character. They had the ability to lead. Anyway, that's what I'd be doing this time of year.
And that's a really great point. And one of the things that Dennis Williams, our friend, used to always say, if you don't see yourself as that person, That's okay. Just go and sponsor that person. And so you're headhunters. You're really looking for, here's how I'm pitching it. So I have a call at 9 o'clock. This is the second ABC call with this individual. Again, following the protocol that I follow, ABC call or contact and invite, ABC call, present the information, follow up with an ABC call, answer the questions about the opportunity. That's what the next call is. So anyway, this individual so fits the template of what we're talking about, Dave. Big personality, single mom, really anxious to break out of the traditional chains of the kind of life that most people have to live when they're, struggling to make ends meet, and keep things going. But she's not settling for that. She wants more. So she's not the person who's giving. I've been on those calls where you get on a call and the person starts giving you reasons why they shouldn't. Well, I don't have the time. I don't have the day. I was on a call like that last week, and I said something that I'm sure most of you probably haven't. I said, you know what? I don't think this is for you. You're giving me too many reasons why you shouldn't do this, even though those are reasons why you should. And I was the first to say no to her,
There you
which
go.
shocked the hell out of her, I'm sure, because I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to twist your arm. I'm not going to try and convince you. If you're trying hard to convince me why this is not for you, I believe you. I believe you. And most people don't see that coming. They think you're trying to sell them. They think you're going to go down that path with them, try and convince them. And at the end of the day, they probably aren't going to do anything anyway. They just want to be in that argumentative, you know, point of view where they're justifying why they should stay where they are. And I said, you're probably right. This is not for you. So, get to know that, get comfortable with that idea, because it's not for everybody. And the last thing you want to be doing is dragging somebody into this business, convincing them they should be in this business. They should be convincing you. If they're not convincing you, they're not leaning into this. And remember where we are right now in the process of trying to build a business, where you are in the process of building a business. You're looking for rocket ships. You're looking for spark plugs. You're looking for the people who will lead, not follow.
Hungry.
Hungry. That's what you're on the lookout for.
Yeah.
And the sooner, and this reminds me of a gal. I know I've talked about this. I'm in her book. I think she wrote a book a million years ago, and I'm a caricature, literally, with the hair and everything in her book, a comic book. And I'm on one page, and I'm the exception to the rule. But her book was her audio cassette was "Say No First." Say no first. And I really loved that philosophy, because what she was really saying is, don't try and convince yourself or the person you're talking to that they're an ace when they're really a jack, maybe even a jackass. so, so an ace is an ace. They're the ones who convince you. So coming back to the idea of who are the people that go to the top, they're people that have ambition. They're people that are not afraid of challenge and risk. They're people who are looking for a better solution, or open to one anyway, and they're not trying to convince you otherwise. Paul. Paul Gavious.
Okay, what I was going to ask you is this. There's an expression, would you like a business with these fries? So there are people, they ask, are you hurting? They lead with the product, in other words, and they hope that that type of leading will turn into a business builder. Leading with the product does build some volume, but I'm at the stage where I'm taking a different tack, because I don't want to chase product, and I don't want that. So am I really right in being, in that conviction that I'm really looking for particular things, and if I don't get them, so be it. Because that's kind of what I'm hearing. Because I don't want to offer people a business with their fries.
Let me give you some more context on that. So that came from the managing director of Nikon Australia, and I was trying to help him understand on the way to the airport. He dropped me off at Sydney Airport, and I was trying to make him understand this concept. And finally, it dawned on him. It's like how our presentations go and how our wellness previews go and so forth. And it dawned on him. He says, "Oh, mate, that's like asking someone if they want French fries if they want fries with their, no, if they want a franchise with their fries."
Yeah.
Meaning, you go to a hamburger, or go to McDonald's, and the guy behind the cash register says, "Would you like a franchise with those fries?" I mean, that just would never happen. And even if it did, how serious would you take the conversation? So when you do that in this business, it's no different. When you hide behind the product because you think, "Oh, let me get them first interested in the product, and then I'll sandbag them on the business." No, you've created context. How you open that conversation, how you approach them is context. Once you've established the context, you can't veer from that context. They won't know what the hell you're talking about. Dave.
Yeah, I think, and also Paul, I think you're definitely on the right track because if I look at everybody that's ever come into this business, most have come in based on looking at this as a solution to some issue that they've got. So the key is what issue do you want them to be looking for or trying to solve, which is for you. And again, I was one of those guys. I needed to make $8,000 a month. I didn't have any problem physically. I had no tie to the product whatsoever. What I did see though was that the product worked on people. And that was the story. And that gave me the story to build around the opportunity. Just think of what this is going to do. And there was an article in Life magazine that said 50% of the population can't sleep. So that was my tagline, man. 50% of the population can't sleep. There's 300 million people in the United States. That's 150 million people. If they all bought a sleep system, we're talking billions of dollars worth of business. This thing's huge. And the person on the other side who had a problem and wanted a solution to the economic side of things would then, oh my God, you're right. And it was that agreement that we would work on that would get them involved in the system. Now, once they were in the system, once they'd made the decision, again, in the beginning was a decision and the decision was to be, and from there everything happens. So if you don't make the decision, nothing happens. So once you make the decision, then everything can happen. So you make the decision, yeah, I want to go Royal Diamond. Well, if you don't make the decision to really go Royal Diamond, then you're not going to do what you have to do. You have to do something to get there. But that's what it's all about. So once you get this guy, he sees the vision, he cognites, he realizes, hey, there's something here. It lights up like a light bulb. Then you start chatting. Wow, this is great. What we can do? This is what we can do here. This is where we can go here. You can get excited and motivated, and then you help them build like crap. And away you go. There, that's what I would do.
Yeah, I want to contact grab this. This is an important point. You do what I do. What you're talking about, Dave, is you use the product to establish the value of the opportunity. So you create context for the product and its position in the marketplace, its ability to solve a big problem in the marketplace. Let me say that again. You use the product as a way to demonstrate the value of the opportunity in that it can solve a big problem in the marketplace. So now that establishes the bigness and the potential of the product in the market, which from a business point of view says there's money to be made. And then you transition into that conversation immediately. Imagine the possibilities if we just tapped 10% of that. That's talking business language. If just imagine the possibilities if we just grabbed a small percentage of that. And I'll give you another example of this. And I've said this a million times, I'm sure. It was Richard Branson. He was interviewed when he was launching Virgin Telecom in the United States. Virgin for communications, for cell phones. And at that time, 65% I think it was 65%. Yeah, it was 65% of the market had been penetrated. Not like us, virtually nothing. We're talking 65%. I mean, six and a half, 65 out of 100 people had a cell phone plan already. And so the interviewer said to him, "Aren't you a little late to the market?" Thinking, it's already pretty much tapped. And whoever's going to make their decisions is going to make. And he said, 35% of the population hasn't decided which way they're going to go, and I want a piece of that.
Hmm.
So he was just looking at what's left of the pie, 35%. That's still a huge pie, and he just wants a percentage of that because that's still a multi-billion-dollar opportunity. That's how a billionaire thinks. That's how an opportunist thinks. So you want to establish the product context. What's the value of the product in terms of the marketplace? When I did the graph, the graph that I have in the PowerPoint, which shows what we've done up till now, which was 1.5% market penetration, 2 million homes, and it's relative to 160 million homes. What that graphic is about is establishing the potential of penetrating the market another 5 or 10%. How many billions does that represent? That's what we're going after. Who wants a piece of that action? That's establishing context for the product. But I like it more specifically what Dave said, like sleep, focusing right on a laser focus on our premier product. Half the population can't sleep. Imagine if we could solve that problem, and we can with a unique technology. Imagine if we took a small percentage of that. That's huge.
And it's now 60% can't sleep.
Yeah.
I mean, this is, yeah.
And just by saying sleep, you're introducing the product as a sleep product, which if they have a problem, if they're the 1/6, the 6 of the 10 that can't sleep, or they know somebody, which they probably do, they might say, "What's this product?" And already they have an issue, because they would never have said that if they didn't have an issue somewhere.
And if you look this up on the internet, it's called positioning. And Madison Avenue was great at this. In the movies, you'd have John Wayne drinking a Coca-Cola, and everybody bought Coke because of the positioning of the, whatever. So you position the story around the idea that you're going after. But here's the backdrop. You got to have data. You got to have information. You got to have the plan. Because the guy's going to say, "Well, how do we do this?" And you can't just say, "Well, sign up and be a distributor." Come on, that's lame. You got to get into it and really get this guy going and thinking, "Okay, we got to develop this. We're going to, phase one, you learn everything there is to do. Phase two, then we're going to teach a bunch of people how to do this. We're going to build an army, 20,000 people in the organization, blah, blah, blah. Think big, think in futures.
Yeah, think in futures, think big. And let's not forget who you have access to.
Yeah.
Like, we've put ourselves on the line to make ourselves available to be that voice to say, "You know what, let me put you in touch with the best there is." These guys have made millions with this. I know they know how to answer this question.
So I think what happens, though, is that people don't know how to contextualize the product in a business conversation early. And so they do, even if they do a demo, a mag step, if it's not contextualized,
Yes.
that's interesting. And we really need to help people.
Pause on that for a second. Let me just drill that one down. Mag step. So let's say you do a mag step, and a person says, "Wow, what would you say? On a percentage basis, how much more energy would you say you have?"
Yeah.
And they say, "I don't know, 50%." Say, can you imagine how many people right now could use 50% more energy instantly?
Yes.
You just created context.
Yeah.
And if we touched a small percentage of that, how many billions that could be, how many millions that could be. See, that takes them into that future reality, and that they could potentially have a piece of that reality.
And just a subtle point here, and I would have a calculator with me in that presentation. I'd say, our long-term income 6%. So if we had 1 million people buying a bed that was $1,000, we got $1 billion worth of business, multiply that by 6%. There's your paycheck, bud.
Yeah.
And believe you me, that's what the guy that wants it is going to be up here that he won't go to sleep that night. He'll be thinking about making a big, I mean, it's just that's the way it works.
That's the way it works. And if it's the right person, that's the way it works. If it's the wrong person, they'll be telling you, well, this is going to take time.
Yeah.
What?
Next.
What? This is going to take time. Why? You don't have any time? What are you doing with the time that you have? Oh, right. You're broke. Looks like your strategy isn't working so good. Maybe you got to try changing your strategy. I mean, I know some people that Dave and I've had we've worked with in the past. They don't mince words. They would have just told the person, "Well, you've been taking too many stupid pills." That's
Yeah.
exactly what they would have said because that's what he used to say. Yeah, some people, you don't have to
They can't
argue
get out
with
of their own way, and so be it. God love them. That's the way it
it.
is.
Yeah,
We're
yeah,
not there to salvage everybody, but believe you me, and if I look at what the damage that one good person can create in goodwill around the world is just truly unbelievable. So it's worth the hunt. It's worth, spending the time. It's worth learning what to know and understand and apply. And then, do it one step at a time.
yeah. I think it's important to note that you don't have to convince anybody. And if there's somebody who's asking you to convince them, then you need to ask some more questions. Like like even asking the question. So let's say I answer this question. What would you do then? So I answer this question to your satisfaction. Then what? Then they might bring another question before you even answered the question. And then you'll find out you're on this train of, they want to just keep asking questions. They're not really trying to solve a problem. And by the way, that's the other point. If ever you come into a situation with somebody you've enrolled, or just keep this in mind. People don't do things for your reasons, they do it for their reasons. So come back to the why. Always come back to the why. And if you don't know what their why is, if you still don't know what their why is, then you got to go back and finish the process with them. Because if you don't know what their why is, it's pretty likely they don't know what their why is, and you've not connected the dots as to how their why and can solve that. And so don't be afraid to go back in the process and revisit that because that's what drives it. What drives it is
And
the
one
why.
statement, Michael, that I always used was your success is how many people you can help get what they want.
Hmm.
And the more you help others get what they want, the more you get what you want. I mean, it's a simple deal. I mean, simple.
Bela, you've got your hand up.
I just wanted to say that going back to what you said, convincing someone, it really actually undermines the whole process. And because it undermines the whole process, you're going on false assumptions, number one. Number two, you haven't really done the qualifying process properly.
Exactly.
And that's what I'm
Exactly.
learning, that the qualification process, Dave has been hammering that into us for the last how many months? The qualification process is the most crucial part of this relationship before it even starts.
Yes.
Because it's not good, because I've learned now with the three people that I signed up, I sure didn't know their why. I was
You
too
find you're
naive.
dragging them around now. You got to drag them into
Yeah.
every conversation.
I don't
drag
even
them, yeah.
bother. I pretend they're not even there now.
Yeah. And that's
Because
and
they're
that's
not.
fine. By the way, just an FYI, that's not uncommon. That's
Mm.
really common because there
Well, I
is
was
a getting.
disappointed.
Bela, I get that, and a lot of people, especially those in almost every single person who's new to network marketing, will go through a 1 year learning curve. What Dave and I have been trying to do is shorten that curve here.
Yeah.
But you don't shorten it by just listening to us. You shorten it by experiencing it, and then you realize, oh, that's what they were talking about, and then you make those course corrections. But there's no question that when people start off, especially in network marketing, and they're going about it, they get excited about somebody showing any interest at all because that's somewhat of a validation for themselves that they made the right decision. So
Right.
Wrong reason to be excited.
Yep.
And then they sign that person up without an order. I signed somebody up. And then they might even think of them as their next royal diamond. I don't know how they come up with that language when they don't even have their first royal diamond, but they know this is their next royal diamond. And so and so yeah, you start putting all this stuff out, which is not qualified, none of it.
So
And
that's
so
that's what I've learned in the last few months, that qualification is number one. Don't waste your time if you can't qualify them. If you have to find excuses or reasons, no. Number two, keep my mouth shut and let them talk. Let them tell me what they want. And if it doesn't line up with what works with the way I'm supposed to pursue this, then goodbye.
or even if what they say they want and what they're willing to do don't line up.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
That's pretty
That
common
happened with
too.
me with one person. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, you mean I have to invest some money in this? What, were you born yesterday? Of course you have to invest some money in this, but we're not talking about a mortgage.
No.
We're not talking about the price you paid for the dining room set you have in your dining room that you probably use once or twice a year. How much money is that making you? None.
Exactly.
So it's like, let's put things into proper context here.
Yeah. And
And
one of the funny things that I've learned from John Assaraf over the last few months is, what are you doing each and every day to make your business move and make you money?
Are you guys listening to this? Bayla, you're ready to
Yeah.
teach a course on this
No,
stuff.
I'm not. I'm not.
Yeah.
Listen, I've
Look
been
at that.
listening
The
to you
student
two.
becomes the teacher. Look at that.
No, but I have to put my money where my mouth is now, because that's the only way it's going to go anywhere. I have to apply all this stuff, and it's not easy. Trust me, it's not.
But it's worth it.
Well, that remains to be seen for me yet. I'm only a silver.
Just trust. Oh, I was going to say, it's quite often you'll get to silver or you'll help somebody get to silver. And because silver is really a play on volume,
Mhm.
you'll help somebody get to silver, especially when you're going up, you're pushing it and it's like the last minute of the day, the month, and you just want to get them over the hill. You'll take anything, anybody, any volume. And so often is the case that we end up going silver, not with the people who are going to get us to gold. Rarely
Right.
is that the case. So yeah, that's common as well. But you got to silver. And
Yeah.
it's not a terrible thing. And you've learned so much in the process. And because you had the benefit of the experience and the learning and the interest, you're now really a good silver. You're somebody who can hold your own. And now you know more what you're looking for. So imagine if you duplicated just what you did. You find somebody, you help them go silver, and oh well, after 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, the people that they got that helped them go silver don't amount to anything. But that person, like you, is enrolled, is engaged, is interested. Now it's not just you, it's you and them.
Mhm.
Do that a few more times, and that's what happens is you start to build a team of people who are committed, focused, who are learning and growing.
Mhm.
And that is the nature of the business. That's the real hardcore of it. It's not a get rich quick scheme. It is a business.
Bela, to your credit, I did network marketing from 1975 to 1990 without any success.
Really?
Yeah, I really paid the price to learn what to do. It wasn't until I got into Niken, my experience and the right guidance told me what to do. In Niken, just so you know, I went to silver, went to platinum, and then left the business for 3 years and dropped back down to a silver and had to build it all over again. What was important about this is simply think big, think in futures. Just if you are always there, then it'll always work. It's when you say, no, it doesn't work. No, I can't do it. No, this is terrible. Blah, 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 blah. Woe is me. That's when it stops working. Because you
Yeah.
let Murphy tell you all the negatives. But So I just kept, looking at it, and then figuring out what to do. And the last point you made a comment was one of the tests that I did with any new person was I always gave them some kind of homework to do. And, read this, go that, do this, put together some people we can talk about, whatever the case may be, wherever they were at. And what they came back with or what happened on our next call would tell me where they were at. And the doers did, the non-doers didn't. Simple process.
Yeah.
And
A lot of it,
sometimes,
well, a lot of it that you're teaching us is planning for the future, but that planning, some of us, like me too, keep on planning. As John said to me, you're preparing to prepare to prepare to prepare. You're not earning any money. So at some point, you got to take that risk and say, like the biggest thing I've learned in the last 2 weeks is these ABC calls. When Mike asked me point blank 2 weeks ago, how many ABC calls have you done? And I said, really, that's true. And then Barbara said the same thing to me last week. And I said, it's true. Like, why am I pretending to be an expert at selling, which I'm not, when I've got experts right here, free for the
not
taking?
only that, but here's the most important part of this. Even if you had the answer, even if you knew exactly what to say, by not saying it and putting an A on to say it for you, then what you're showing that prospect is that they don't have to have the answer. They
Mhm.
just have to have the A.
Right.
Okay?
Well, also
That's
it
a
builds
lot easier.
credibility. It also builds credibility that
Certainly.
we're supported by a whole organization.
So there's
We're not on our
there's
own.
multiple benefits to having an A.
Hmm.
Credibility, you add credibility and experience to the conversation, and you create a concept called leverage. You demonstrate leverage, which is the thing that people don't know how to
Right.
do. It's the reason why they trade time for money, because they don't know about leverage or how to apply it. And the ABC is the thing that would save you so much time, because a lot of people who do ABCs with me, and I'm sure Dave would agree with himself, is when you actually hear us in an ABC with one of your people, you're going to learn so much that you have not heard on these calls. You're going to hear it in live, in action. You're going to go, holy crap. And I know this because the people who I'm doing ABC calls with are saying that right after the call. They're like, every time I get off of this call, I've learned something new. I've learned some. Well, they're learning because they're watching in real time as those conversations happen, how a response is created, how a question is created, and so forth, unique to that very specific situation. And they're starting to gain an understanding of the methodology, not just what I say, but why I'm saying what I say, which is the most important thing, the principle.
And that's the foundation of the duplication of the process.
Exactly.
I'm
Exactly.
getting it. I just have to learn to apply it now.
Now, Bella, I also want to remind you that Michael and I, many, many weeks ago, kept saying, bring somebody
I
to the
know.
picnic.
I did, but didn't go
Bring
anywhere,
somebody
did
to the
it?
Bring
picnic.
somebody else. Keep doing
Yeah.
it. That's
I'm
Just
trying.
keep going, keep doing it. It's just,
Yeah.
but again, there's a fine line. So if something's not working, you got to tweak it. You got to keep going, you got to figure out what you do, all those kind of things. That's a constant in this business.
Right.
But you just got to keep going, keep going, keep going. Think big, think in futures.
Right. Thank you. I appreciate both of you.
Thank you. So listen, let's recap here. So we got positioning, using the products, positioning it as a big opportunity, a possibility for somebody to participate in. Think big, think in futures. Think big, think in futures. That's what attracts people to the future that they want to be part of. And then ABC, ABC, ABC as the leverage and the methodology for not just creating context, but for validating the context you've created, especially that. Okay.
Mike, I was going to say, like Bela came in through the product. There are people who have come in that way. But even if we lead with the business and the future, and some of the people say, well, they become customers, they can always later on turn and say, oh, now I see it. But if we lead with the product, then that's all we have, and they can always say no. And if you lead with the business, they might not always say yes to it, but they don't like to. Sometimes if they know you, they don't want to say no twice. So you get another shot
True,
if you lead with
but
the
if you
business.
also include what the options are in your first conversation, Paul, this may
Yeah.
not be for you. At the very least, you're going to be introduced to a technology that, quite frankly, I think you're not going to want to live without.
Yeah.
So right there, I'm planting the seed that you're going to want this technology, whether this is for you or not. Right? And if it's
Yeah.
not, you might know somebody. There's another option now for you to help me
Mm-hmm.
by leading me to somebody you think would benefit from it. So if I drop those seeds, if I plant those seeds in my proposition, in what I call the offer, what's the offer I'm making? All I'm asking you to do is to go through a process of information so that you could be fully informed to make the following decision. Partner with me. That would be the ultimate. But if it's not for you and it's not for everybody, at the very least, you're going to be introduced to a technology that I'm sure you're not going to want to live without. And maybe I'll be able to help me indirectly by leading me to somebody you think this information would be better suited for. How does that sound, Paul? Fair enough?
Fair. Yeah. Great.
So there, we've just established the conditions and the possible outcomes for your exploration of this idea, right in the opening conversation. Now, no, there's no surprises, no hidden agenda. We know what the outcome could be. It's going to be one of these three things. And I get your agreement. Fair enough? Does that sound right? Cool. All right.
Fair enough.
Excellent. So now all we know is we're going to engage into a process of information so that you can decide which of those three outcomes makes the most sense for you. So I'm not trying to convince you and I'm not trying to sell you. I'm just trying to inform you so you can convince yourself and sell yourself on one of those three options. And now, how easy is it to invite people into that? A lot easier than to invite them into, trying to convince them of something that they probably won't be convinced of anyway. You're just asking them to come along for the ride of information with the hope that they do A, partner with you. If not, B, they could definitely use these products as they're going to find out about them. And C, maybe they can help you indirectly by leading you to the person or someone who they feel would be better suited for this information. So you've just given them the whole thing, and now it's just a question of going through the information. And then in the information process, they discover the products, they discover the philosophy, they discover, if you put them on an ABC call, they discover you're in partnership with some pretty cool people.
So it's
Like-
a yes, yes, yes kind of a situation.
Yeah.
And I wonder why we're not getting it as much as we should. Since if we present it properly, it's yes, yes, yes. If one of the
Well, maybe what you should do is on this video, play it back and write it down as a script. Write it down. So you have it in front of you, because practice, practice, practice is what's going to make it second nature to you. Roll off the tip of your tongue. It rolls off the tip of my tongue because I've been doing this for 30 years. Actually, I passed my anniversary on the 19th. So 34 years now, I can say. So yeah, it rolls off the tip of my tongue because it's like the back of my hand. It's second nature. It's just practice. So write it down. Use this audio, the video, and literally script it. And that way it'll be easier for you.
Now, there's a couple of things to add to that, Paul, was just to make some reality and make some sense here. In one of the gurus that Michael brought to the picnic a couple of weeks ago did a training, said that the number of people looking for an opportunity is about what, 1 in 7, Mike, 1 in 8.
Yes.
Uh, so again, in order, and of those 8 people, if you had 8 people that were interested in an opportunity, there's a factor that you got to look at how many of those are going to sign up. So
Right.
the reason why it's not occurring is there's just not enough asking going on and enough prospecting to open the door. You got to, and I'm just going to say this, I was a madman at the beginning. I mean, I talked to anybody that walked, anybody that looked at me, anybody I looked at, whatever the case may be, and try and figure out, how do I get them interested? How do I talk to this person? How do I, open the door, et cetera, et cetera? I'd go to bars and sit down beside people and start talking to them. I'd go to restaurants,
Let me
go to
ask you,
hotels.
Dave, in that, if you can recall in that time, that space, the pursuit that you had, were you somebody who felt that you couldn't fail? Like when you were at this, did you know you would find those people?
Good question. I certainly hoped I would.
So
I was driven because I had an incessant level. I had 3 kids.
Okay, so what compelled you
Yeah,
was the need.
yeah, the need.
100%, the need compelled you to overcome the inertia of doubt and fear.
And the other thing that was important was I'd experienced and saw the success for 15 years in other people. So I knew it was there. I just figured out, how do I do it?
We're just not willing to take the risk to ask.
Yeah, there you go.
So the
Take the
question
risk
then
and
is,
ask.
what do you lose?
Nothing.
What do they lose?
Everything.
So what made you persist, Dave, for 15 years? Because you said it didn't work for 15 years.
Well, I actually quit and gave up. I don't know if you read the book. Cleopatra's Secret was the last one I did, and it was milk mold in the back bedroom that stunk like crazy, and it was a Ponzi scheme. And I said, okay, that's it. I'm done. No more. And then got back into corporate America and entrepreneurship and all that sort of stuff. And then some crazy guy called me and said, there's this Japanese company selling magnets. I think you should get involved. I told him to go take a flying leap too. But anyway, he kept persisting, and I had no choice. So it was necessity.
By the way, speaking of magnets, did you notice our CEO's conversation on the call this weekend?
Yeah,
The things
the
that
only one.
the things that he was emphasizing on that call. He talked about our primary technology. He talked about the magnetics. What do you think is up his sleeve, guys, coming 2026? He's setting the stage for something, right? He was talking about the opportunity, leveling up on the opportunity, again, setting the stage. So I think I know what's going on coming 2026, the emphasis. He talked about rank advancements. He talked about rank advancements over and over and the importance of that. Okay.
And giving this double PV again. I feel like that's going to happen a lot more.
All I know is he's setting the stage for the direction. He's leaning into it. And that's really great news for all of us who are looking to build an organization, because without the CEO on board with that kind of vision, we're not doing it. But if that's the focus, the intention, and he's outwardly telling us so, dropping those hints, he's dropping hints because he doesn't want to push anybody away who may not necessarily be driven by that, but it's clear that he is. Barbara.
Yeah, he kept stressing how important it was for us to be on the kickoff call because there were some very important announcements. And through the CEO connection, like that presentation he did, and again, he talked about the magnetic energy. He talked about it being a proprietary product, that it launched the company. And you could almost see the wheels turning and getting hints of what may be in the offing, and that he said that 2026 is going to be an absolutely phenomenal year, and that Nikan is the only company of its kind, and that we're highly respected in the industry.
Again, so that sounds a lot like our roots,
Yeah.
really, really going to our roots, which built this company and leaning on those things. I know that there is a program that's in the works that's proposed to be launched in March, April, 3 months in after the first quarter, or probably for the first quarter event. And that is going to be very, very specific. And you guys are going to be supercharged and excited about it because I've seen the prototype and it's absolutely going to be a calling card for us.
It would be interesting to see what Master Day is, what happens on Master Day on the 24th of January.
Cool. Well,
What-
listen, unless there's anybody else, I think we can call this a wrap, this call. And I'd like to wish everybody a happy holiday, a Merry Christmas,
Happy holidays.
Happy Hanukkah, whatever you, so I guess it's pretty much those two that are celebrated.
Be safe.
Be safe, enjoy your family, enjoy the fruits of your labor. Every moment, every precious moment. I know how important that is. I got 2 children on airplanes right now flying in, so I'm monitoring their progress as one's coming from Australia and the other one's coming from Guatemala. So, and one's already here, so I'm happy to finally have my 3 babies with me.
Yeah,
Anyway.
fantastic.
Yeah, it's going to be great. And that's what I look forward to. You know, think about the things that are important in life. It's the people you care about and you want to spend more time with. And I'll tell you something, there's a lot of people out there who are struggling to have any time with the people they care about. And that's got to be one of the reasons why they should look at this. And if they're talking time, that's when you got to look them square in the face and say, if you do absolutely nothing different, how is anything going to be different 5 years from now?
Well, we're in Tucson, Arizona. It was 82 degrees today.
Sweet. Enjoy the weather. Enjoy the sun. Enjoy
It's
the heat.
nice.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody. Enjoy the
Okay.
week. We'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas.
Thanks, Mike.
Merry
Happy
Christmas,
holidays,
everyone.
everybody.
Merry Christmas, everyone. Thank you.